Welcome to the Hustle Wing podcast. Today we are joined by Jay Van Buren, the co-founder and CEO of Membit, and he's going to chat to us about himself and a little bit about his company. Thank you so much for joining us today, Jay. How are you?
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be talking to you. I'm
Thanks.
good.
That's great. That's great. Thank you. So, what is Membit? Talk to me.
All right, so Membit is an augmented reality storytelling platform, and it's an augmented reality app for iOS and Android. And what we do is we allow creators to go out into the world and create augmented reality experiences for other people and leave them behind for them to find. So it's really using augmented reality in a different way than what
Mhm.
most people are doing with AR. Most people are doing things like, oh, I can like point my camera at a cereal box and the elf dances or something, or they're like
Yeah.
doing some kind of face filter and like, oh, now my face is a rutabaga, whatever.
Mhm.
Um, like that's fine, but to me, the really exciting and interesting thing about augmented reality is when augmented reality allows us to put the digital into meaningful relationships with the real. So in other words, I like to
Mhm.
say it's the reality part of augmented reality. That's
Yeah.
the really exciting part. So this platform allows you to go out and put things in the world very precisely so that they can
Mhm.
have meaningful relationships to the real world. And you
Mhm.
can do it absolutely anywhere without any markers, without scanning, without QR codes, without posters.
Mhm.
And this all happens within what we call a channel, which is a sort of like you can think of it as a container for a
Okay.
series of augmented reality experiences. Inside the
Mhm.
channel, there's a map that shows you where those experiences are, so you can go from one to the next to the next. There's a list. It's all a custom branded channel
Mhm.
so that
Okay.
you can have a curated branded experience for your users. And some
Mhm.
use case examples are that people are doing. We did a history tour in the West Village. You can actually go in New York City and you can see Bob Dylan sitting on a park bench in the exact spot where he was sitting in 1965.
Oh wow.
There we've done Easter egg hunts because you can have a scavenger hunt feature, so it checks off
Mhm.
all the things you found, and then if you find them all, then you get a prize. Um,
Yeah.
and another example is like marketing pop-ups, so like a branded experience that a
Mm.
brand might have to connect with their uh, with their fans or with their consumers. Um, and uh, all of those things concern storytelling. That's why I call it an augmented reality storytelling platform,
Yeah. Yeah.
because any good marketer will tell you good marketing is always storytelling.
Yeah.
And so this platform is really designed for. I've tried to make it the most flexible that it can be, so that you can use it for all those different kinds of possible use cases.
Yeah. That's so cool. I've never actually thought about that at all, and I'm obsessed with the New York tour. I want to do that. That
Oh
sounds
yeah,
so
no,
cool.
you can go. It's Village Preservation is the name of the my client. They're a really great organization. They do a
Yeah.
lot of historical work. They're kind of like a historical society for the West Village.
That's so cool. Ah, I never really thought of augmented reality like that. Like I've never, like you said, it was
Hmm.
just like, point the camera and see something dancing or a filter. Never thought
Right.
of using it practically. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
So, what's your story behind it? Like, how did you come up with Membit?
It's a good question. So I actually come out of a fine art background,
Ah,
and I was at a conference, a college art association conference, and I met a guy named James Morgan, who's a brilliant guy, and we were talking about VR. He was actually introducing me to the concept of VR. This is many years ago.
yeah.
And I was like, that's really cool, but it'll probably will only really take off when, everything becomes like super realistic or whatever. And he's like, no.
Mhm.
He's like, the your emotional the experience, what matters in the experience is not the verisimilitude of the graphics. It's the quality of your emotional connection to what
Mm.
you're seeing. And I
Yeah.
thought about that a little bit. It's like I remember playing Pac-Man, and like, Pac-Man's just like a few pixels running around on the screen, right?
Yeah.
But like when that ghost is coming up behind you, like you're like, oh shit,
Your heart's
I'm like
beating.
like you're right. Yeah, totally. Like you're in the game. Like you're totally in the
Yeah.
game. And like I was like, yeah, wow, that's right. And so it got me really thinking about, the how the digital affects your emotions and how that all flows together. And I did a project in Second Life, which was an online VR platform, sort of. VR of the day, right? Where basically you're looking at a computer screen and you're moving with the mouse keys or with the arrow keys, and you're moving your avatar around.
Yeah.
Um, and that project was called Brooklyn is Watching, and that's actually where I met my co-founder Karina Mitchell. She
Mm-hmm.
was originally one of the artists that showed up to create art in that space, and it was a
Yeah.
space where it was a space in Second Life, and a space in an art gallery in Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
And in Brooklyn, people would play the game and see the art that people put in that spot in the game. So it
Ah,
became and in the at the time, I was like, oh, this is so cool. Like, we're all going to go into the computer, right? And we're all going to
mm.
live in this VR world, and everybody's going to. And then I found out about augmented reality. And then I was like, oh, no, this is way better because the
Yeah.
computer's going to come out here with
Mm.
us in this world, right? And everything we're going to be able to be in the real world, but have a digital overlay.
Yeah.
And so that was like why I got into augmented reality, because I was already fascinated by that combination of like the digital and the real, and this was so much better.
Yeah.
And I'm still like VR totally going to be a big deal. Like, a lot of people will have VR headsets, whatever. AR
Yeah.
is going to be like every day, everyone all day, every day. Like
Yeah.
if we could skip forward 10 years, people are going to be doing stuff in augmented reality. They're not even going to be talking about it. Like no one will even
Mm.
say, I'm doing XYZ computer thing in augmented reality, because like where else would you do it?
Yeah.
Like that's just going to be like all the time. Like it's
So
just going to be how
normal.
we
Yeah.
interact with computers.
Yeah.
And the glasses, they're working on the glasses. But I want to say one thing important. We do not have to wait for AR glasses. A
Mm.
lot of people in my industry are like, oh, when the glasses come, XYZ, and like, no, you can have a totally immersive augmented reality experience on your phone if,
Mm.
again, same thing that James said, if it's something you give a damn about.
Yeah.
If it's something that has sucked you in, right? I like to say, like, grab the heart and the mind will follow. And like, for example, Membit did an augmented reality art show in Chelsea in New York. It was called The Show That Wasn't There. You walked in the gallery, there's nothing in the gallery. It's a completely empty
Mm-hmm.
white box. You get out your
Okay.
phone and there's a whole show there. There's paintings, there's sculptures, everything. And
Wow.
day after day, I saw people come into that room and they were in the show. Like the fact that they were
Yeah.
only seeing, this much of the show at a time did not matter at all. They were
Yeah.
totally in the show. They were like, oh, come look at this one. Like, oh, come over here. They're friends, like looking at everything together.
Yeah.
They were just in the show, and that is available to us right now. Like we can
Yeah.
create experiences in AR that are extremely powerful, and
Mm.
and that's great for any of these kinds of clients, right? If you're a nonprofit organization and you want to tell a story about your local community,
Mm-hmm.
you can do it. If you're
Yeah.
a brand and you want to connect with your consumers in a powerful
Mm-hmm.
way, do something really amazing that's going to be spectacular and make them want to, you know, send pictures to all their friends, of
Yeah.
whatever it is, you can do that. And that's all possible right now.
That's so cool. I'm just thinking the possibilities are like truly endless. I mean, you could, as an interior designer, you could show your vision practically,
That's right.
architects and things like that. Any sort of modification kind of business would also work in that kind of way. Like, you could
Hmm.
really use it in any way. That's crazy. Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. You like really opened my mind.
Awesome.
Cool. Thank you. So, what are some of the challenges or projects that you're currently working on at Membit?
So we're working on something really interesting called the Harlem Walk of Honor. and that's a project that we're doing with the San Diego African American Museum of Fine Art, and the Schomburg Center in New York. They're part of the New York Public Library,
Yeah.
and the idea behind that is to create something kind of like the Walk of Fame in Hollywood, but
Yeah.
we're calling it the Walk of Honor because it's not really about fame. Actually, it's about
Okay.
doing things that are honorable.
Yeah.
And instead of a little plaque on the ground, it's going to be a whole display that you can walk into,
Mm,
and that's going to be on the streets of Harlem. And you can
wow.
basically find out about important people and important places
Yeah.
in that neighborhood and basically go on a little tour. And so some of the things that, like the kinds of people that we hire for things like that would be graphic designers, 3D
Mm-hmm.
modelers, um, potentially historical researchers, people who want to go and do research into important historical figures or important
Yeah.
cultural things,
Yeah.
and write about them.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we also sometimes need video editors. One of the
Yeah.
things you can do with Membit is you can put video in space too, which is
Oh,
really cool. When you put a video that was shot you put it in the exact place where it was shot,
yeah.
it's like suddenly there's like a window into a world where that person is standing there talking to you.
Oh, cool. Kind of
Um,
like, when they put the picture up. I don't know if you've seen those pictures, but they'll put a picture up and it'll be like a scene that's shot in the movie, but it will be like the background there.
oh yeah,
So
no,
this would be like that, but with the
that's
video.
exactly right. And in fact, if somebody who was doing that wanted to, they do those pictures, and that
Hmm.
is only there once, right? But like they could
Yeah.
actually leave that photograph in that spot so that anybody who came back to that
Gosh.
spot could see it right there.
Yeah.
So
Oh my
that could be
gosh,
really
that's so
cool.
cool. So truly the possibilities, unbelievable. Like really.
Hmm.
Okay, cool. So then that's a really cool project. So that one's in Harlem. So are there any challenges that you're facing with that particular project?
Um, I mean, right now it's in the planning stages.
Mm,
Um, and so it's very early, but um, a lot of the things that need to happen next are kind of organizational things that will have to happen between the nonprofit institutions that are who are my customer, basically. So like they're going to be dealing with those things.
yeah.
I'm also working with a friend on a augmented reality puzzle game
Hmm.
that is going to be coming out in a few months. And I don't want to tell too much about it because I don't want to spill the beans. But
Yeah.
basically, he had this concept for a puzzle game and then realized that Membit would be the perfect platform to do it in. So there's going to be
Yeah.
geolocative puzzles that people find all around the country. Um, and all of these things are happening in channels. So I will
Mm,
also say, like, to anybody that's hearing this video, um, if you have a concept of something that you'd like to do in augmented reality, talk
yeah.
to me because you could get a channel, and I mean, channels are that's our business model. That's what we sell.
Yeah.
But we can also do private channels. Channels can be public or private. The private
Okay.
ones can be really quite affordable. And
Yeah.
basically, what happens with the private one is you would set up a page where people who wanted to see your content would join your channel, and then when
Mm,
they open the Membit app, there it is.
okay.
So,
Okay.
and I'll say this to you, Izzy, too. If you want to create an account on Membit,
Uh-huh.
let me know. Let me know what your username is, and I'll put you in some of the fun private channels that we're working on, so you can play with them.
Say less. I am 100% there. That's
Cool.
amazing. Thank you.
And
Cool.
yeah,
So,
you're welcome. And every channel has its own library of 3D objects.
uh-huh.
And you can actually, if you're a channel owner, you can allow your users to create in your channel too. So you can have user generated but brand curated content. And that's something that no other augmented reality platform allows for right now. And people have only started to scratch the
Wow.
surface of that. And
Okay.
it's really
Yeah.
powerful when you let people create, and they can
Mm.
collaborate and create things in the world for each other. That's really fun.
That is cool. I think that's the beauty of, all technology really, like virtual reality and augmented reality. It's just the connection that you can have with someone through the screen, like, or through the technology or
Absolutely.
whatever, through that platform.
It's really what makes it it's what
All
makes it
right.
interesting, right? The technology by itself isn't that interesting. It's the people and the relationships and the meaning
Yeah.
that you create together. That's always what really
Yeah.
matters.
Yeah. So cool. All right. So, okay, cool. So you said with each project you need sort of graphic designers and product people. Is
3D
that per
modelers,
project,
yeah.
or is that like your hire 3D
Well,
modelers
right now,
and potentially historians depending on the project? But
right
yeah, is that
now,
something
right,
for Membit or is that per project?
it's totally per
Sorry.
project, and it, no problem. It's totally per project, and um, that's just because right now we're trying to raise a seed round that would allow us to hire some permanent staff, but uh, at the
Yeah.
moment, everything is freelance. So that's something that eventually I'd actually love to have a little team of people who are who are able to do all these things. And
Yeah.
so that's something we're building towards. But in the meantime, it's definitely on a freelance basis.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So would you then be open to hearing from, people in our community that are in in those departments? So 3D animations, well, historians, you know, product designers, software engineers, and there was another thing you mentioned.
And graphic designers, yeah,
Graphic
yeah,
designers, yes,
yeah,
graphic
totally,
designers.
yeah, absolutely. And we also have, I don't know if anybody's looking for internships, but we also have some internships where we're um, giving people a chance to work with some of our customers, many of whom are nonprofit organizations doing really cool and interesting work.
Yeah,
And so there's opportunities for that too. I don't know if that's something that people are interested in, but um,
definitely.
it's a chance to learn some really
Yeah.
interesting skills because
Mhm.
creating content in 3 dimensions is really different from creating
Yeah.
it in any other medium.
Yeah.
And the people who have had some experience doing that are going to be miles ahead of the people who have never tried it.
That's true. Yeah. It really requires you to think outside the box,
It
So,
does. And
yeah.
it's really, it's so different. It's like I have people come to me all the time and they're like, "Oh, I want to do this 3D sculpture and I want to make it like floating in the air and spinning." And that's because they've seen a lot of videos online where 3D objects are presented spinning in place. Well,
Okay.
that's because in a video, if you want people to see the whole thing, you have to make it spin, right?
Yeah.
Because that's a two-dimensional medium. I'm
2D.
like, no,
Yeah.
that's two-dimensional thinking. It's so much cooler to have the sculpture just be there, be still,
And then you walk
and the
around it.
user walks around it. Yeah. And then it's
Yeah.
like, it's like what your sculpture 101 teacher told you, reward the user for moving around the sculpture. You come
Yeah.
around from one side, you see certain things, and you come around the other side, and it changes how you
Yeah.
see it, you know. And that really creates a more powerful experience. And part of it's just because we're actually three-dimensional beings. We live in the three-dimensional world. Our brains
Yeah.
evolved to understand things in 3 dimensions, and our memories and our emotional systems are spatial.
Yeah.
Um, and one of the things I like to say is like there are 0 ancient rituals that you do from your couch. And the
That
reason
is
for
true.
that, yeah, it's like all of the important stuff, it's like weddings, funerals, baptisms, like any of the things that go way back.
Yeah.
You get up, you walk around, you go to a special place, you do things with your
Hmm.
body.
Yeah.
And that's because like that's how we connect. That's how we connect to each other, that's how we connect to meaning.
Yeah.
And so you create a way more powerful experience when people are up and moving.
Amazing. Okay, great. Well, just before we wrap things up, so you said that you're still sort of, in the early stages of Membit. Would you be open to maybe people that would assist you in sort of, finance seeking opportunities. So maybe funding and things like that.
Absolutely. And
Mhm. Yeah. 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 Mm. Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time, Jay. It's been amazing chatting to you. My mind is blown. So thank you for sharing that. And I will 100% be creating an account. You can best believe that. And I will we will definitely connect again soon. Thanks. Have a nice day, then.